gonna recognize this. It's a little slow. Um, okay, there we go. And you're on. Okay. Friends, this and as people are coming in and talking, so if they have any questions, I can pass it along. And in case you want to look on your upper right side, there's live comments, and you can see what people are writing. They write.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So today, oops, oh my Facebook. Today's special day. It's August 17th, and I have the honor to receive here my, long time, forever professor and mentor, and a great person that I was lucky enough to meet in my life, the great bassist, and Diana Gannett. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to be here. It's so good to see you. It really, I think that's one of the pluses of all of this mess is that we're more likely to connect with old friends.
Yeah, isn't it? And because I decided that because it's a round number, every time I have this a life that is a round number 150, I have a little cachaça to celebrate.
Oh, so, I remember.
Yeah, 150.
Well, I did bring my water along, so.
Okay, I have water too because I need to be on for 30 minutes. Anyway, I've been talking here every day about, of course, the quarantine and COVID, and the first big question is, how is everything? Like, you're healthy and your family, and how are you coping with this staying home?
Yeah. And as far as health, I think we've all done really well here. Myself and my extended family. I think we've also all gotten mild cases. Not all of us, but I feel like I've had a lot of the mild symptoms. And I think just today they were saying that even a mild case can give you some immunity. So we look for good news when we can, But yeah, we're doing good. Yeah.
And if you've been very active with the students and all this. Online. You've been doing this for a while, and then at this moment, that activity increased, or?
Well, for a time I did do internet lessons and stuff, but as I retired, I'm doing less and less. It was more like going out every few weeks to do a bass event and do some teaching and playing. And of course, all of that's canceled, so I miss that. And I haven't tried to get onto any of the, the virtual bass camps. I haven't tried to do that. I'm not sure I'm up to it. I am going to do a class for a cellist, a string class for her in Oklahoma. And so occasionally I do something like that, but I'm not really doing online lessons.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess some people sometimes comment, I have a lesson with Diana online. So it's being
yeah. Well, that's from a while ago then,
But your all your approach to teaching is, everybody that was your student one day carried that all those phases, martial arts approach to teaching. And every time I tell my students, I got into Aikido because of you, they say, what?
Well, I'm a cautionary tale in that as you get older, everything tends to contract quite a bit and get a lot tighter. And for the first couple of years after I retired, I went, I don't need to do all those stretches and exercises that I made you guys do. I have a whole series that's based on Aikido and Tai Chi and yoga and so on. And I thought, I don't need to do that. I've done it for 50 years. And oh man, did I suffer. And arms and, I was going to the doctors, they were giving me tests. And so I thought, well, I think I better just start doing that stuff. And it works. It works. Yeah.
And it is forever, right?
Pretty much. I mean, I was realizing today that I probably always played with pain, as most bass players do. But usually you have, well, I have to get this done for something, for a lesson or a performance or so. And if you don't have that lining up in front of you, it's like, well, maybe I'll just sit down for a while, take it easy.
That's funny. And I never got off the white, how you call the white belt in Aikido.
Oh, yeah.
I went to class for almost 1 year, but I didn't get off the white because of the first principle, which is discipline. I never could make the I could never make the number of classes without absence to make the test. Because I always had a meeting, a committee somewhere I had to be, and I couldn't cancel because of the class. And then I was training for a long time, but never got it. I said, wow, how can I teach now if I don't have discipline? So.
But it's good exercise, so I miss it quite a bit. Yeah.
So we're going to Fausto Boren is on, and Alexandre Rosa also, they're saying hi. Glad to see you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And some other people are coming in. Oh, Amil Carzani, it's a professor of piano at University of São Paulo. Michael Cretu, and Marcia Del Francisco from Brussels. Antonio Valdeck. Oh, people are getting. Because you're being on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So. Believe me, this is easy. Otherwise, I would do it. You just learn how to put the back on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've been for the last few years.
Froze.
Whoops. You're frozen now.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
There you are.
Okay. So did you?
You're frozen again.
Come on, internet. Behave.
There we go.
It's Diana Gannett.
Still.
Yeah. So, and how you think this? We're gonna go now for this next phase, the post quarantine. Yeah. We're gonna do music performance in a different way, like.
That's going to be a really tough one. I know that my friends and family that are in orchestras, they just don't have a season, and they're trying to figure out, how are we going to do this? And they're talking about smaller concerts and space them out on the stage. But then you have to space out the audience, so that's all crazy. What we did do is actually this weekend, one of my former students did a concert on somebody's porch, and so people came, brought their chairs, sat on the lawn, we're all masked, and it was great, And then later that evening, we had a harp concert here in our garage. Wow! The neighbor is a folk harpist, and she asked if she could use our lawn to do a concert. And so that's how it ended up, and I thought that was pretty nice, And then people walking by, that's good,
And we've seen people having to catch up with technology now that we have to use a lot
Very
of
much.
things we're not used
Yeah.
to. Watch lots of
Yeah.
tutorials of everything. Basically.
Yes, and people keep posting, oh, use this app and that app. There's a lot of great stuff out there, and I'm sure they're just going to keep developing it. The student that they gave a concert, or a former student, he does a lot of roots music, and he was, you know, he had all these tours going and everything, and then everything just stopped. You know, just nothing. And so, yes, he's doing a lot of refiguring on all of that stuff. And all I can say is, good for you. You know, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be interesting too to see how this whole music scene's developed, because it certainly isn't going to be the same.
I heard yesterday, I was listening to this Brazilian philosopher speaking about that, and he was saying that he believes that everything's going to come back absolutely like it was, because that's the humanity. And as soon as this effect goes off, the new generations, 2 generations from us, they won't feel like what it is to be in quarantine. So they won't react like we do. Like being in a war or something. You have that in your history, but you didn't actually live the situation. So it's not gonna have the same uh, impression that it has in our lives now.
Right. Well, but you know, I think we were all thinking, oh, this will be like SARS or Ebola, and it'll be spotty, and it may not even affect us, and life will go on as usual. And you know, like you say, here it's just 5 months later, and it's still the same thing. We still have to quarantine, have to wear masks. We'll probably be wearing masks for a long time.
For a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, Brazilians like to hug and kiss. So
I know.
we're trouble.
Why?
It's
Yes.
horrible. So you don't. If you meet someone, you go in your elbow like this. It's
Yes.
nonsense. So,
Yeah. Actually, my son and his 2 little boys came through just the other day. And so we tried to do it all socially distanced. It was so hard not to hug the little grandchildren, you know. Just, no.
yeah, I saw a woman the other day. She made this big, the whole uh, hood and a whole clothes with plastic, so she could hug her grandchildren.
Aww.
It was funny. She was, she made all the whole costume so she
Mhm.
could give it a kiss, because she couldn't bear anymore, like not touching them.
Mm.
So it's
Well,
my,
that
my
may mean that fashion will totally change, and we'll get these bodysuits that make it possible for us to
yeah. Some
live.
restaurants are doing the little cabins on their backyard, and the way you can go with your family and and have dinner in a closed little cabin with glass walls and stuff. It's kind of, I don't know. This thing better, we better get a vaccine soon before it
Yeah.
gets too crazy.
Oh, it'll happen. It will happen. Yeah.
Oh, Fausto's saying something. Let's see. People may be lost trying to find you guys on Facebook. Oh, we are on Facebook, Fausto. We are in 2 places, Facebook and YouTube. You can choose. Okay, we are in both places because we are women-based players. We are everywhere.
Hey.
Yeah. And that brings me another question. How are you watching this Black Lives Matters movement? Like, how is it in Michigan? Because it seems like it's different now than the past one we have in this early this year and last year. Because I think it got us in a moment when people cannot bear any type of racism or discrimination. So it seems like it's stronger now than it was in the past few years. How you seeing that?
Yes, yeah, I think it was, this was all overdue. And again, people were really pushed to the wall. And you can see had the fact that it's just gone worldwide. Everybody is protesting the same thing. And to me, it's hopeful because, you know, maybe things will change and they will have a different kind of policing system. Um, it's good to see. I haven't, you know, living here in Michigan, we haven't seen too much of it locally. You know, remember what we did see was the guys coming into our legislature with their guns and their masks and protesting having to wear masks, I think. Um, and that was totally fine, you know. Government didn't bother about that, but they, you know, Black Lives Matter have to go out and protect those federal buildings, you know. Don't want any graffiti on them. So it's been outrageous. It's, you know.
I, in music field, I never felt that very much, but I have close friends who had serious problems. I was talking to Jessica Valls the other day, and she was telling about this musician in Houston, how do you call it, Austin Symphony, that was fired because she was with racist um, reactions and a lot of publications on Facebook against a colleague in the orchestra, and the orchestra had to fire her,
Whoa, good.
which is like, you know, it's how come I would think that it's hard to see that, especially because we live in a bass family worldwide, and I never saw anything of that going on at ISP. We have 1,500 bass players, and I never noticed anything.
Well, I don't know. I think as an instrument, we're kind of second-class citizens. You know, so we have a lot of sympathy for all of that.
I hate to admit, but yeah, that's right. Yeah, a friend of mine's a pianist, and she says that tells lots of stories, like in a hotel lobby that she wasn't allowed to practice, but other type of people would. And she would say, well, it's different if you play the flute, the piano, the violin, or if you play the bassoon or the bass or the percussion. It seems like some instruments are more like, oh, it's okay for a black person, and some others are not.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. You know, remember in Iowa, they used to once a year publish all the salaries that of anybody who was in public employ, which included all the university professors and teachers. So there are pages and pages, you know. And if you go through it, you'd go, okay, here's the big salaries, and as you go down, those are in treble clef. As you go down and down and down to bass clef, treble salaries get lower and lower.
Wow, it's it's funny, but it's sad. What do they have against us?
Uh, well, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I think, you know, you just have to keep fighting, keep fighting. You know, and it's great to see bass really coming into its own these days. And that's been over my career. When I started, of course, it was very unusual for a woman to really be a professional bass player, and now not a big deal at all. You know, and so many wonderful bass players now. This is just, it's so exciting for me to see. So creative. So
You have an idea? I mean, have you made this count of how many students you had, like you formed all over?
um, I I haven't really figured that one out, but let's see. Over 50 years, if you just even say 10 a year, that's, let's say 5 a year. It's 250 or so. I had on my birthday a bass
It was
player
just last week, right?
a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
A couple of weeks ago, yeah.
um, a bass player that I taught when he was 4 years old. When I was in graduate school, he was 4 years old. Cutest person ever on the planet, and he got back in touch. He's now playing for he plays Sex Mom and stuff like that. He's a plays guitar and bass, and his brother who played violin ended up playing bass too. But anyway, yeah, it was fun to get back in touch with somebody that, I mean, really, it was maybe 50 years ago that I taught him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh boy. And I remember one day we had this picture with you at Peter Askin and I and this guy from Israel. Then before it was too exotic, we had people, your former students from different continents.
That's right. Yeah, so that was probably Klinghoffer and you and Volkan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And China and Poland. Um, yeah, a
And I
few.
think you had students from all over the world, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
all the
Mhm.
continents.
Well, not Antarctica. I'm pretty sure.
Why? Why
I
those people
know.
doing? Why they don't play
I,
bass?
I should do something about that.
Uh, one of my best memories of our times when I was in your studio was that we always had this bass class, everybody together from the uh, uh, freshman to doctoral. Everybody was together once a week,
Yeah.
and the richest experience I had on learning with everybody. We always learned with, even with the freshmen or whatever. And we had like, I was a doctoral student, but there was like a international competition winner as an undergraduate. He was like, right? Anthony there. And,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and and Paul Sharp and so many great players at the same
Yeah.
time.
I know, and some college students that were awesome too. And I would have them come into class
Yeah,
every once in a while. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Maureen, right? Maureen, the
Marin, yeah,
Martin.
yeah. She's principal in Malmo, Sweden now, and her husband is also a bass player that studied with me, and he is a prize-winning bow maker. He's awesome, Jordan Scapinola. Yeah, yeah.
And
They're, they're
you
both
heard news about your bass granddaughter, Bridget Kearney? That she was
Oh
doing
yes, and
great.
like yes, and you taught her too.
When I
Yeah,
left her, I left her with you. Like she was my beginner, and then I
yeah,
left. She was just amazing, doing great things.
yeah. I'm so happy for her. Yeah. It's like, ooh, she's gonna be on TV. I'm gonna watch. Her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to ask, like, would you do something different today? Like, if you're beginning to teach at, uh, in a college or something, would you? Is there anything you would do different?
Um, wish I would be smarter, I guess. You know, I don't know. You know, your teaching style tends to develop pretty slowly over the years, and hopefully you keep tweaking it, and it gets better and better. But man, I would have to think about that, because that means thinking about what ends up being the most important thing when you're teaching, and how could you start implementing that right from the beginning. And I always like to give the student a chance to perform all the way through. And eventually I got so that I made them bring in a Xerox copy of their piece of music so they could perform all the way through, and I wouldn't stop them. And I could write out anything I wanted to so that I could go back, because I couldn't remember what was going on. But we get so few opportunities to actually perform and say, okay, I'm going to do it front to end. And so I like that idea. I like the, having people, just come in and go ahead and perform.
It's a big inspiration for me when I remember how many times you will review your material for us. Like always have something different. It was almost the same shit, but it wasn't. Like the piece of the little the phases exercise, they would change always a little thing. There was a new one every year. There was something different that you modify because of what you were watching us do, which was very grateful, because you were always thinking of how we could get better. And because of that, I think I never adopt any method, like one method, because always like what's best for this student, for that student, for this student, always mixing.
Yeah. Well, you were working with me when I was really developing all of the phase exercises, and still I think they evolve, and I agree. I think it's really hard to put down your pedagogy, because say this is it. This is my pedagogy. I'm writing a book. It's like, because, well, I don't know yet. I think I might change some stuff. Yeah.
But now you have them published, right? I think.
No, they're not published, but I do have them in kind of a final form. Yeah. So, and I send out some copies to some of my doctoral students. Let me know if you want a copy. I can send you the
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I have so many manuscripts.
Since what you need, another manuscript.
Since 1994, I have so many editions. I even written about them in Portuguese. But anyway, well, for everybody who got here after we started, I'm saying I'm celebrating the 150 with cachaça. So every round number, I have a cachaça to celebrate, and this is a very fine one. Go from the south of Brazil. So cheers. And with that, I would like to thank Diana very much for finding the half an hour to chat with us and help people staying home.
Oh, it's been a real pleasure. Now I'm going to go make some rhubarb. Yeah.
Are you going to do what?
And make a rhubarb pie, basically.
Oh. Send me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get in touch for the final edition of the phases. That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay.
Super. Thanks a lot for being here, Diana.
Oh, you bet. Love you too. Bye.
Bye, sweetie.